Hey, I'm Anthony David Adams. Thanks for picking up a copy of my book, The Mandala Work. This video is for folks who have already purchased a copy of the workbook or have downloaded the PDF and are looking to get some additional instruction before they dive into the journey. Okay, so I just want to give you a quick tour of what you can expect inside the book. So if you open up your copy, or you can kind of come along with me here, you'll notice that there are a few different sections, and it's a good idea to read these before you get started. These are going to give you some background into the history of what the Mandala work is, kind of where it comes from, the science behind it, and ultimately just kind of give you some background about what the process is. You'll notice a little bit more about mandalas in general, where they came from, some stuff about Carl Jung and how he was using mandalas in his practice. And then, of course, you'll get into the actual mandala work process. So the mandala work process that you're going to be going through is effectively to open up this journal every morning when you wake up. You're going to open it up to a fresh page inside the book, and then you're going to just free draw something. You're going to draw something that comes to mind, something that represents the dream that you just had or the emotional experience that you're having, and you're going to put that on the page. It doesn't have to be beautiful by your own definition. In fact, some of my best work has come about as a result of doing things that I felt like were really ugly, and then they ended up turning into something quite beautiful. So really just put something on the page. Don't think too much of it, but just something to represent what your internal experience is, or what your most recent dream was, or just something to get out onto the page. This is something that is not verbal. It's a pre-verbal kind of part of your brain, just the visual processing part. So you ultimately can get that out there, maybe 5-10 minutes, could be 2 minutes, just a piece of time that you feel like is adequate. You'll know when you're done. You'll notice there's a kind of an example of one of these inside here, and I'll show you some other examples as well. And then you're just going to free write. So after you've done the drawing here, you're going to start writing here. I often put the date and the time and the place of where I'm writing. And then I'll go through and I'll fill up the next couple pages with writing. It's about 3 pages total. And that's it. There's optionally, you can return back to this, the drawing that you made. You can return back to that later in the day, and you can color it in, if you would like, with colored pencils or something like that, as more of a relaxive, meditative process. The way that this really works is if you do it consistently over the course of a 40-day period. So the idea being that when we're going through periods of transition, when we have things that are peak experiences, maybe there's a breakup that we're going through, some breakthrough creatively, we've reached a new level with our business or in our creative life, maybe we've had a kid, or we've suffered a loss. Anytime you're experiencing something kind of at the extremes of life that is for you a peak experience. It could be you've gone on a medicine journey, into an ayahuasca journey into the jungles of Peru, or you had a beautiful kind of psychedelic experience at a festival that you're trying to make sense of. This, or for other folks that I work with, they are going through what in the West is often called a psychosis. For some people, they view it as a spiritual awakening, and this can be a really, really helpful process. In fact, I developed this as a result of my own work, going through psychosis and integrating aspects of myself and not wanting to go a traditional psychiatric path to kind of stuff that stuff down. So using this, you can really kind of take a process of 40 days, and the reason this is 40 days was when I was researching integrating peak experiences, in different wisdom traditions throughout the history of humanity, different mythologies and so these types of things, I noticed that there was a recurring theme. There was a theme of the day of 40 days. And so you heard stories of Moses going to the mountain for 40 days. You heard stories of Jesus in the desert for 40 days fasting and sort of having visions. Siddhartha under the Bodhi tree, as he was becoming enlightened as the Buddha. Again, about 40 days in each of these processes. And so I began to think, there's something perhaps to this. And of course, if we look at kind of biologically with humans, came across some research that said when humans go through a psychosis, if it's done in a supportive, connected way, that process will typically reintegrate and it will form a new kind of more flexible ego structure after about 40 days. So the 40-day number is selected for a specific reason. It's not arbitrary. It seems, as far as I can tell, to be grounded in both biology and also in kind of the mythic realm of like our human tradition, something that multiple cultures throughout multiple periods of time noticed was a process of birth and regeneration. And so the idea is, why do we want to integrate peak experience? Well, you want to integrate your peak experiences because if you don't, you sort of lose the magic of what happens. And in fact, to have a peak experience and not really integrate the message, well, in that case, what are we doing? You're sort of missing out on the biggest opportunity, which is to bring a newer, fuller, more integrated, more whole part of yourself into the world, or into your relationship. So this process takes 40 days. I encourage you to commit to it. It's something you can kind of do as a hack is try it out for 7 days. Commit to doing it for a week. And at the end of that week, reflect on your experience and then make a decision to commit to an additional 33 days. You're going to do it for the week and then add 33. You'll end up with 40 days. I really encourage you to share your journey with the Mandala work. You can use the social hashtag Mandala work on Facebook or Instagram or other social networks. We'll kind of look for those. But just posting a picture perhaps of what you draw, or even reflecting on your process can be a really beautiful thing. But of course, you can also keep this for yourself. If you're interested in booking integration sessions or in working with me one-on-one, you can certainly do that. You can just reach out to my email address to book a session, or email me, anthony@175g.com. You can find the information of how to reach out to me personally for either one-on-one transformational work, or if you've got an organization and you'd like me to support your organization through times of transition, we can do that as well. But again, this is just a really great tool for you. I think you're going to be really blown away by the results. It's a simple, elegant practice. I mean, if you look at the book, it's primarily workbook pages. There's the information here, but ultimately I found that kind of having a sacred tool that people can go to. I used to give the PDF to people all the time. They wouldn't really do it. So put this together in a print form so you can have this dedicated book to do the work that you want to do. And let me know. I'm going to be really curious to hear about how your journey goes, or if any variations you put on this experience. But again, wake in the morning, draw in the journal, write out a few different pages, reflect throughout the day on your felt experience. Just take pause to check in with yourself and think about how you're feeling. If there's any emotions that are kind of challenging, you can use this as a vehicle to kind of go in and explore them, both in a visual manner and also in a written manner. And I'd be curious to see how this supports you. So please let me know. And congratulations, and enjoy your journey with the Mandala.